All right. Karen, thank you for that. Thank you very much. This is Karen Itel playing the beautiful music as you come in. And this is Ron Graham talking to you. I'm the president of HAVIN, and I want to say thank you for being here this morning. This is our inaugural virtual Insight Expo. It is also our first international Insight Expo. We have a good number of guests with us today from Canada. So welcome, or I guess as you say, hey, welcome and good morning wherever you are. We are really forced into this year, doing it virtual, but it opened up a lot of doors. Unfortunately, it canceled last year's with the COVID shutdown, but here we are today, pushed to learn to do things in a whole new way, and it's going to be a wonderful experience for us. So we're going to start like we normally do. If this were in person, we would be, the HAVIN board would be lined up at the front of the tiered classroom at the University of Houston, and just visualize that if you would. And y'all would be sitting in the seats facing us, and we would normally begin with our national anthem, and we're going to respect the Canadians who are with us today. We're going to also include your national anthem as well, just like the National Hockey League does. So Karen, please take it away. Karen?
Yes.
Go ahead and play the national anthem for the U.S. as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, we welcome all of you here today. We're excited to put together this program. Our theme this year is, where do I fit in? Because there's no one size fits all visual impairment. We're all unique, and anyone dealing with vision loss, we all work to find where we fit into the greater blindness or visually impaired community. And we've put together a program to help all of us share some information and resources. And we hope you leave here today with more than you came here with. because we're giving you a lot of information, we're giving you a lot of resources, but we also have a lot of door prizes. And speaking of door prizes, let me introduce one of our favorite people, the Prize Patrol, Greg Roberts. You got it, dude.
All right, and good morning, and thanks again for everyone joining today. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and give away at the beginning a couple of door prizes. The first one we're gonna give away is going to be a $50 cash prize. So Alexa, choose a number between 2 and 126.
The random number between 2 and 126 is 74.
So 74, let's see, who is 74? So our lucky number 74 is going to be Miss Peggy Garrett. Is she on?
Yes, Peggy's on.
All right.
Congratulations, Peggy.
All righty. And so do you want me to go ahead and give away a second one, Ron, here?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
All righty. And so let's see. Give me 1 second. Sorry. All right, and the next one that we're gonna give away is gonna be $25 gift card. Alexa, choose a random number between 2 and 126.
The random number between 2 and 126 is 115.
All right, so we got 116. Let's see. $216. All right, so we got Sandia Rao. Do we have her on?
Yes, she's on.
All right, so Miss Sandia Rao, you have won the $25 gift card. All right, Ron, I'm gonna turn it back over to you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Greg. And Greg will be back at the end of every cycle we go through here. So we've got lots of door prizes. We have some very generous donors, and we thank you all. There, just for the record, there's over $500 going to be given away today. So there's also some physical prizes from a couple of our exhibitors. So there'll be more door prizes during the exhibit hall this afternoon. So, but you must be present to win. And we're glad you're here. We're glad to be here with you. And I am going to transition, and I'm going to introduce one of our advisors, Dr. Modi, Dr. Swathi Modi from the University of Houston.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am so happy to get to introduce our keynote speaker, Carley Colton. If you know Carley, you already know that she is very passionate about providing support to people with vision loss. She is the Houston chapter president of the Foundation Fighting Blindness. She also is the top individual fundraiser for the annual Vision Walk in 2013 and has raised more than 1.1 million to support retinal disease research. She's also, through her leadership, she is also, the Houston chapter has received the Foundation's Outstanding Chapter of the Year Award. Carley has also served as a Houston Independent School District as a curriculum specialist in the literacy department, and she is currently enrolled in the Public School Administration Doctorate of Education program at Texas A&M University, in which she'll attain a superintendent certificate upon completion. There truthfully is so much more to say about Carley Colton. I will direct you to looking at her bio, her full bio in the program. But for now, Carley Colton, please, let's thank her for joining us today and sharing her stories.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm so thankful and blessed to have had this opportunity and be invited to not only your 2020, but also your 2021 Insight Expo. I don't know how many of your keynote speakers have been invited 2 years in a row, but I feel super special to be with y'all today. I want to thank you, Dr. Modi, for the introduction. And by far, while you did list some of my accomplishments, my most proud accomplishment is definitely the birth of my 2 children. They're about to be 2 years old. They're twins, boy and girl. And I love them dearly with my whole heart, of course. And they are upstairs right now with their fifi. So they're supportive of everything that I do, as well as my parents. So thank you. And I want to just give a shout out to HAVIN. What an incredible organization, network that you have. 126 people today. This is awesome. And thank you all so much for being here. And Ron, what a great way to fit in or to align with the theme of where do I fit in, and to not only have the United States national anthem, but also the Canadian, which is absolutely beautiful. So thank you again so much. I want to a little bit further introduce myself before I get started, just to kind of give some relevance to what I'm saying and kind of my perspective. I was diagnosed with Stargardt's eye disease, which is a form of inherited retinal degeneration, specifically affecting the central vision. It's akin to macular degeneration. However, it affects people in their juvenile stage of life. And so for me, it manifested itself when I was 19, and now I'm 37. So I've had it for quite some time, and over the course of the years and throughout my life since it started, or since I noticed it, it has progressed, and my vision has degenerated some. So of course I had 20/20 vision prior to diagnosis, and now I sit before you with a visual acuity of 2200. One more thing I love about Ron's introduction that I'm gonna kind of hone in on is he talked about how, visualize what we would be seeing right now, and think about, University of Houston and where the board would be sitting and where you would be sitting. And what I love about that is, while each of our visual acuities might not be perfect anymore, we have vision. We have vision for ourselves, vision for our lives, for the people around us. It's something that we can still see and imagine, if you will. And that is one thing that I feel we all use in our lives to keep us moving forward and keep us very purposeful in our lives. So I love that. I love that you gave us that opportunity to visualize and think about where we could be and what we would be seeing if we were at University of Houston today. However, we're virtual, and it's awesome because we can connect with so many more people around the states, around the country, around the world. And so again, thank you all for being here. So like I said, I have a visual impairment myself, and so whenever I think about the theme of today, the theme of the Insight Expo, where do I fit in? Where do I fit in my world? Where do I fit in the visually impaired community? Especially now, I think about, we've just gone through a little over a year of a pandemic. We've been told to be socially distant. And if, some individuals with visual impairment might already feel socially distant as it is. And then here we were told to become even more socially distant. So, you know, where exactly do we fit in all of this? My initial response to this question and to this theme is, you fit in exactly wherever you want to fit in. You own your world, you own your space, you own your truth, you own your honesty, and that is how I feel as an individual. However, I know that some people might struggle a bit and might need some reminders or some things to reflect upon. I have a funny story that I just encountered. I was at a grocery store in a very small town named Kuntze, Texas. It's spelled Kountze. A lot of people think it's pronounced Kuntze, but it's Kuntze, just north of Beaumont, about 20 miles. And the only grocery store in town is a Brookshire Brothers. And so I needed to get some things to make it was like a shrimp fettuccine Alfredo. It was an Italian meal. I wanted some garlic bread and things of that nature. So I walk in, I look around at the tables because they literally have like card tables with some baked items on them. And I didn't see the garlic bread upon, first looking. And so I went to the counter. There was one young girl working there, and she was waiting on someone. So of course I waited my turn. And whenever I got there, I said, do you happen to have any garlic bread behind your counter? And she didn't respond to me. Immediately I asked my question again, and still she just acted like she didn't know what was quite going on. Finally, she went over, she got it, and she brought it back. And she said, I just have to ask you, why were you looking above my head when you asked the question? And with Stargardt, as Dr. Modi can attest to, typically, since there is a problem, a deficiency in my central vision, I tend to look in areas where I can see. And so at this point, she noticed that. And she saw that I was looking not into her eyes, but slightly above her head. And she wanted to ask me why. At first, I was really caught off guard because I thought, oh my goodness, I'm doing it again. I tried to overcompensate sometimes, and sometimes it works. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't. However, at that point in time, I could have chosen to invite her into my world and give her a little bit of information because she was asking questions, or I could have chosen to completely shut down and alienate her and myself. I chose the former. I chose to invite her into my world a bit. She was asking a question she clearly didn't understand, and she wanted to know more. Upon giving her more information, she then took her right hand and she placed it out to the far right of her body and said, can you see my hand? And then she moved it into her face, kind of like a doctor would do. She goes, here's my face right here. And she had her face waving in front of her hand waving in front of her face. And I just kind of chuckled a bit because it was very innocent. And again, she wanted to know more. At the same time, she thought she was helping me. So I share this story with you because just that we all are presented with choices and opportunities of how we want to fit into our world, how we allow others to fit into our world, and like I said, I just took this opportunity to invite her in to share some information with her, and not only for the current situation and experience we were having with one another, but also for the future, for her if she ever encounters other people with say, visual impairments or other, I call them different abilities, that she may present herself just as inquisitive and quite possibly, just open her eyes a bit also to what all is out there. So also, we think about, where do we fit into our visual impairment community and our visual impairment world? There are so many, there's a spectrum of visual impairments and a spectrum of blindness. Upon my diagnosis, whenever I was 19, I thought, whenever I was told I would go blind, that would mean completely blind. I didn't know at the time that there was such thing as a spectrum, and that I could gradually go into what's now considered, legally blind. And so I had a very, for lack of a better word or term, just ignorant, because I was young and I didn't know. Now I do. I understand that there's a spectrum. There are varying degrees of blindness, and there are quite the amount of different diseases, different groups, different affiliations that one can become involved in. Like I said, I have Stargardt within the Foundation Fighting Blindness, since it is an organization that is founded on doing research for retinal degenerative diseases, which include retinitis pigmentosa, Stargardt, Usher syndrome, which includes retinitis pigmentosa and hearing impairments. Also, Leber's congenital amaurosis, rod cone dystrophy, cone rod dystrophy. I mean, there are so many different ways to get involved with disease-specific groups. It's quite incredible. I think also our social media platforms allow us to connect with others in such a way that we can, again, connect with people in our state, in our country, in our world that are experiencing some of the similar, let's say, issues that we might be experiencing. And so it's a way to collaborate, think about ideas, maybe different ways of doing things that we might not have thought about before. I love the way, and I'm going to give another shout out to HAVIN, but I love the way that y'all bring all of the visually impaired networks, affiliations, communities together. You have social events now via Zoom. It's just quite incredible and quite the way to meet the needs of our visually impaired community, and I so appreciate that. I want to bring about some points that I've thought about. Some I might have gathered from some TED Talks I've been listening to lately, and how exactly to fit in. And these are pretty general, but I think that they definitely apply to a lot of our community. And I want to kind of give some stories, just short little tidbits on each of these points. So, and things for us to remember as we are working with others, introducing ourselves to others, and just really truly thinking about where we fit in our world as a whole, and also in our visually impaired community. First and foremost, above all, I believe that it's so important to love yourself. Before you can love others or allow them to love you, you have to love yourself, and just embrace who you are. We are all dealt with as this is my mom's phrase that she has coined, we're all dealt our own bag of marbles, and it's just how you play them. And so I feel that everybody has their own hardship or issues in their life that they go through and are presented to them. But learning to love yourself is so incredibly important. Also, when you show up as you. Be yourself. You don't need to try to be anybody else. You are beautiful. You are made just how you were meant to be made. And I'm gonna now go to one of my favorite Miranda Lambert songs, but we all make the world go round, and there is a place for everyone in this world that we live in, and a purpose, and we make the world go round. We make it beautiful. So show up as you. Be you. Also, be positive. Nobody wants to be around a fuddy-duddy, and so just making sure that you're being as positive and uplifting and trying to see the good in every situation, even though sometimes things can be pretty rough, can be pretty bad, and ultimately you know that it's rough, but you can find that little bitty glimmer of hope or little bitty glimmer of positivity that you can bring about, and maybe even focus on that to help you get through some rough patches or some rough times. So being positive and uplifting. Also, people change. You yourself change as an individual, and for everything there is a season. And I believe that you might not always have the same group of friends from the beginning to the end. They're oftentimes going to change according to what's going on in your life. Maybe who you might lean on a certain person at a certain time more so than you do others. I always have that core group that I can always go back to, and then there might be some others that come in and out. And so just know that people change, you change, and that is all okay. Also, who are your people? Who do you want to be identified as hanging with, or with your people? Who do you want to identify with? Who do you want to identify with as being yourself? Open up and be honest. This goes along with the being you and showing your true colors, and it will allow people to be able to connect with you better, and create a long-lasting relationship and bond and friendship. Don't worry about what people think. I chuckle just a slight bit about this because there's a lot of, I'm going to bring humor in this, so I hope this is not offensive to anyone, but I can't see a lot of facial expressions sometimes, or people what they are thinking through their face, their nonverbal communication. So I have learned to not worry about what people think, because I quite honestly can't see a lot of it. So I just carry on and move along as needed. And but yes, again, to this point, don't worry about people think. Do you, be you, and all will be good. Own your own uniqueness. Own your own you. I think this, again, goes along with the other points of just sharing who you are. Own it, and people will love you for it. Be a good listener. This is so important, to listen to others, to connect with them, to maybe share with them a story also after you've listened that can relate to them and help them in in their time of need, or in their time of happiness and their joy. We have a lot of joy in our world, believe it or not, and so we need to share that with each other and to capitalize on that. So again, where do you fit in to wrap things up? I believe it is exactly where you want to fit in. If anything, there's been a lot of you in this speech, in this address, and just making sure that you are being true to yourself. And then I believe others will be drawn to you, and you will indeed fit in. I want to give an opportunity for questions of everyone. So much for this opportunity. And again, I wish you all the best the rest of your day. And I know there's a great panel and great speakers, and also the exhibitors. So have a wonderful day and just be you.
Thank you, Carly.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you so much, Carly. That was very inspiring.
All right, so we do have
Well,
a
let
couple more.
Carly know that I appreciate her acknowledgement of my playing. Thank you, Carly.
Yes, absolutely. You're welcome. It was
Right.
beautiful.
All right, and thank you very much, Carly. And Greg, you are the man with the plan. Let's roll here, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we do have a disclaimer that I did not do on the first round. For those who are getting the gift cards, if afterwards, if you have one, and right now we're looking at Amazon, Walmart, or a couple of others, but we haven't made the choices. So we're going to allow you guys to actually make your choice. Just submit your choice to us, so that way we know exactly what you want. All right. So this round, we're going to give away two $25 gift cards. Alexa, pick a number between 2 and 126.
The random number between 2 and 126 is 49.
All right, so we got number 49. One second here, because I got to go through all of the list here.
Mhm. And while he's doing that, I just want to issue an apology for that. That person has been removed and reported. So
Thank
not
you.
express any beliefs or issues of HAVIN, and we're sincerely apologize for anybody that may have offended, myself included.
And hopefully we will not have any more like that. So, Greg,
Yes, sir.
you got a name?
I have Dave Clemency. Clement. I hope I'm saying the last name right.
Dave Clement?
Yes, is he on?
What was the name again?
Dave Clement or David Clement?
Clemente.
Clemente.
If you're on, Dave, and your name isn't Dave on the thing, can you either raise your hand or put in the chat that you're here?
Someone just wrote in that they're Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's present.
Okay. All righty. So
All right.
that's the 20. And I think we had a question about Starbucks. That is one of the options in there. If you do win, you can request a Starbucks.
And,
All right.
and Dave is in as, just for clarification, he's in as easy claps as if you have to get any additional information from him.
Gotcha.
Okay,
we got his email and his phone number, so we're good to go.
Okay.
Alexa, pick a number between, sorry. Alexa, pick a number between 2 and 126.
Sorry, I don't know that.
Yep.
But I do have a screen here.
Alexa, pick a random number between 2 and 126. Oh, Ron, I'm having issues over here. Can you pick a number for me?
All right. Hey, Google, give me a number between 1 and 126.
109.
109.
109.
Go to the
All
end and
right.
work up.
Let's see.
Get it?
Yep. Cindy Schaefer. Cindy Schaefer. Do we have her on?
There is a Cindy on here in the list, but no last name, so we're not sure if it is the right Cindy.
Yeah. Do we want to just ask her to unmute and
Yes.
clarify?
Yeah, go ahead and
We're
ask
gonna-
her to unmute. Let's see who she
We're gonna fingers crossed nothing crazy happens. Cindy. If she's there.
I'm asking her to unmute, but I don't
Oh,
know.
we might have hit
wait.
it at the same time. She
Oh,
said
She
yeah
put
in the chat.
the-
There she is.
All right. So we're good to go. So we have Cindy
All right.
on as well.
Hello.
Congratulations, Cindy.
All right, Ron, back to you.
All right. So the next part of our program is an introduction to who's who in Haven. And this is an overview of our organizations and the different groups that comprise Haven. And Dr. Modi will moderate this and keep this moving along as we progress here. So thank you, Dr. Modi.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be able to introduce each of the Haven groups. We'll start with the Blind Professional Network. Victoria Hillard. Can you tell us a little bit about your group? Victoria, I'm not hearing you. Are we muted?
Is she still on the call? I don't see her name. Oh, wait, no, I see her. I see her now. Hold on. Okay, I asked her to unmute, so she should see the option. She's not as a co-host for some reason.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
You're having a really, really bad buffering
You're breaking up.
thing there.
Can you hear me?
A little better.
Little
Try
better.
one more time.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know. This phone was not acting, it wasn't cooperating. So I'm hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I just thank you so much, Dr. Modi, for your patience, for all of your patience. So for Blind Professionals Networks, we are basically a resource and support group for blind and visually impaired professionals in the workplace that are seeking employment or active in the work field, or people that are recently graduated, retired, and so forth. So anybody that's seeking or gainfully employed that wants to be have resources and support from other professionals in the blind and visually impaired community. So we do support groups, weekly, monthly meetings. We do networking events and just so forth. And to find out more, you can visit Haven TX, and there's a link that has more information about that too.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Next, we have the Dan Arnold Center for Vision Rehabilitation at Sizzik Eye Clinic, at the Sizzik Eye Clinic support group, excuse me. Jose Rios.
I'm sorry, I'm looking for him.
Is he on? Jose?
I don't see his name.
All right.
Okay.
So
No,
All right.
there's only a Jose Marquez. Ron, if you wanted to do a quick spiel on them,
And
can you do
that, and it's their support group. They meet monthly at the Dan Arnold Center downtown in the medical center. They've been a part of us since early on, and we're glad to have them as part of us. Their information is in the brochure in the program for today, the contact information for them, their meeting times as well. So we'll move on then.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a representative from the Foundation Fighting Blindness Houston chapter, Naomi Panarella. Are you able to unmute and share a little bit about the Fighting Blindness chapter?
Yes, I am. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So hi, everyone. I am Naomi Panarella, and I serve as the vice president to our amazing keynote speaker this morning, Carley Colton, our president of the Houston chapter. We represent a larger national organization, the Foundation Fighting Blindness. I want to say they do have some representation in Canada as well. Just a little shout out to our northern neighbors. So basically the foundation is just really committed to finding treatments and cures for people that are affected by blinding retinal diseases. I like to toot the horn in saying that FFB was the first gene therapy for an inherited disease that was approved by the FDA. And that was pretty groundbreaking to be a part of an organization that was able to accomplish such a feat like that. Since 1971, the foundation has raised $816 million, and there are about 35 Vision Walks events that happen throughout the United States, and that is our chapter's biggest fundraiser, our Vision Walk, and it normally takes place outdoors. Last year it was virtual, like most other organizations, and we normally hold ours in the fall. However, we have decided to move it to the springtime of next year, I believe. And if I'm saying any of this incorrectly, Carley, by all means, please jump in. But that's kind of a quick brief on the Foundation Fighting Blindness's Houston chapter.
Great, thank you. I did get a message about the Vision Walk being moved to the spring, so
Yes,
I think that's exactly correct.
yes.
Next, we have the Houston Council of the Blind. Karen Eitel is the HAVIN representative for HCB. Karen, are you able to unmute?
I am already unmuted. And
Wonderful. Could you share a little bit for the participants regarding HCB and what that organization does? We've got 3 minutes.
all right, I'm waiting for you to break for me. Okay. Houston meets at the Lighthouse of Houston on the first Sunday of the month. We're the democratic organization, which means is the decisions that are made by the Houston Council of the Blind, and all of the HCB affiliates are determined by the membership and more than anything else. But anyhow, we meet on the first Monday of the month, and my alternate might have some more to say about than that. Go ahead, Nelly.
No, I think you pretty much got it, Karen. It's just an advocacy group. We're part of the American Council of the Blind of Texas. And so we talk about like legislative issues, transportations here in the city, that kind of stuff. And yeah, we just meet on the first Sunday of the month. We've been meeting on Zoom since last April. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
And our next meeting will be this coming Sunday on the 11th. I just got the announcement about that this morning.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, that's correct. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I'd like to introduce Sarah Freeman Smith from iBug Today, the Eye Blind Users Group.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Modi. Good morning to everyone. And again, thank you all so much for participating in our first virtual conference. I am a member of the iBug team, and iBug stands for I as in iOS, Blind Users Group. We are a nonprofit organization, and it was founded on the principle of empowering blind individuals to become independent by utilizing assistive technology. And due to brevity today, I cannot even begin to tell you all the things that our organization does within the blind community on a monthly basis. But essentially, we want to be able to promote independence, social integration, which is so critical with the blind and visually impaired community, as well as as well as educational development throughout the visually impaired community. What we try to do is offer training services utilizing all of the various Apple devices, starting from the iPhone all the way up to the Mac computer, as well as Android smart phone devices as well. So it is inclusive, not just of Apple, but also Android training as well. We provide training on a weekly basis. Typically, all of these services that iBug offers are free. All you have to do is go onto our website, which is ibugtoday.org, and register and begin to participate in all of our training sessions. Due to the pandemic last year, all of our sessions are via Zoom, but hopefully one day, and we hope one day soon, we will begin to get back into meeting face-to-face. But essentially everything that we do is currently on Zoom. The events that are coming up is the first one is our iBug Cafe, which is tomorrow afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. We will be taking a deep dive into utilizing Clubhouse, a new and hot and exciting social media application. So you will learn all of the ins and outs and how to use it and address any questions. So we do encourage you to go to our website, ibugtoday.org, and register and click on the Zoom link. The good thing is all of our sessions have the same Zoom link. We sponsor monthly, end of the month iBug sessions, as well as we also do individualized weekly iBuzz calls that address anything that you want to know how to use your device. So again, I encourage you, please check out our website and join us for all of the exciting things that we do, from training to even going to the movies on a Friday night and listening to adaptive screen films that cover the entire spectrum. So check us out. Thanks again.
Thank you, Sarah. I know you had so much information in these short 3 minutes. Next, we have the National Federation of the Blind of Texas. I'd like to introduce Stacy Gallegos to talk about our Houston chapter.
Currently unmuted. Gotta love technology. Good morning, everybody. My name is Stacy Gallegos, and I have the honor of serving as president of the Houston chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Texas. The National Federation of the Blind is actually a civil rights organization for blind people. We were founded in 1940, and at the time of our founding, there were seven members. So we started out in the beginning with 7 members, and fast forward to today, we have over 50,000 members throughout the nation, and even membership in Puerto Rico. The Houston chapter is actually part of the NFB of Texas affiliate. So we, our chapter has really embraced the pandemic, and as such, we've seen a great deal of participation in our chapter meetings. And so I think when we end up resuming, if and when we're able to resume in-person meetings, we will continue to offer a hybrid approach, so we can have other people who may not be able to attend in person can attend, virtually. Typically, prior to the pandemic, we meet on the third Saturday of each month at 11 a.m. Our in-person meetings are held at the Lighthouse of Houston, but since last March, we've been doing things virtually. So the National Federation of the Blind, when I talk to people about our organization, I make mention of the fact that we offer a wide array of programs. And in starting, we offer things for people of all ages. So kind of a morbid way of looking at things, from the cradle to the grave. We frequently say from the womb to the tomb. We have very much believe that our young people are the future of things. And so we have a number of opportunities for youth to take advantage of. Our Braille Enrichment for Literacy and Learning program, which typically has been held in person. This summer and last summer, the program will be held virtually. And so we have 3 sessions, one for beginners, one for intermediate, and one for advanced Braille users that focus on activities and materials that kind of go around Braille and Braille literacy. Our student summit here in Texas, our Texas Association of Blind Students, will be holding their virtual summit on May the 1st. And I would invite, because of our time constraints, I really can't talk about all of the things that the Federation does, but I would encourage you to check out nfbtx.org, and you can learn about what's going on in Texas. And our national convention, again, will be held virtually this year. Last year, we had our virtual convention, and we had over 8,000 in attendance. And so this year, we're going to continue offering a virtual event, and registration for that is now open. So for those of you who are interested in attending the convention, you do not have to be a member of the National Federation of the Blind, and you can visit nfb.org to get registered and learn more about that. We do have a national organization of parents of blind children, and Texas Parents of Blind Children is the Texas version of that. So we do offer things for parents of blind children. We have a Silver Bells program for blind seniors. And this year, back in February, we held a week-long virtual event providing training to blind seniors 55 and older. So we covered things like technology, daily living skills. We talked about some philosophy, adjustment to blindness. So as you can see, we offer a wide variety of things. I forgot to mention that in addition to my work with the National Federation of the Blind, I serve as the secretary for Houston Area Visually Impaired Network. And I've been involved in HAVIN since 2016. And looking back over the years to today, I really think this organization does tremendous things for all blind people and low vision people throughout the state. And
Absolutely.
as you know, today, we have Canadians joining us. So I feel very proud to represent my organization, but even prouder to be a part of this awesome group.
Great. Thank you for that, Stacy. All right, we've got the visually impaired advocates next. Minnie Crystal, are you able to unmute?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Yes, my name is Minnie Crystal, and I am the transitioning president of the Visually Impaired Advocates, or VIA, as some of you may know. And our group has been in existence for roughly 12 years now. We started, probably like many of you people, when I found out my condition. I have retinitis pigmentosa, RP, and it was only diagnosed 15 years ago, although I'm at midlife now. It was only diagnosed 15 years ago, and I was completely unaware of what was going on, etc. So our group meets when we were able to meet prior to the pandemic. We would meet every Thursday at the Multi-Service Center of 1475 West Gray, centrally located in Houston area. And we just basically share information and resources about what's out there for blind people, discuss some of the challenges that each of us face. And that is what we wish to resume as soon as possible. We'll just have to wait and see. So if any of you guys are interested in participating with us, we have a virtual meeting once a month now, or we continue to try to exchange resources and information. And we have a newsletter that we put out on our website, biadvocates.org. And we put out all the information that's reported to us in the blind community, so you can stay aware of what's going on, but it's also aware of what we will be doing, what we do as a group. So I look forward to seeing you guys when we get a chance to meet once again.
Wonderful. Thank you, Minnie. And lastly, the last group that's part of HAVIN is the Visual Impaired People of Southeast Texas, VIPSET. Ron Graham.
Thank you, Dr. Modi. VIPSET serves the Northeast area of Houston, because any of you who live in Houston know, and those of you who don't, you're about to know, Houston, we've got about 4 million people in the greater Houston area, so we're widely spread out. It can easily take you an hour and a half to go across town and see somebody over there. So it's not always convenient to just visit anyone, anywhere. So when we started VIPSET, it was about 12 years ago, and we serve our area of Kingwood, Porter, Humble, New Caney, Atascocita, this surrounding area up here in the northeast corner. And we meet once a month. We used to meet in person till this thing called COVID happened, but we've been meeting virtually. We share information, we share resources, we come together. We've met together on Zoom playing games online. We just try to keep connected, and that's what a lot of it is about, is the connection. And I want to tell you, if you're interested in more, it's in the program or on our website, havintx.org, HAVINTX.org. We also have an Our Groups page, and there's more information about every group on there. But I would also like to tell you, with HAVIN, the beauty of what we do is we all come together and work as one. And our motto is bringing unity to our community. And it reflects what Helen Keller said so well: alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Aside from our organizations, we also have an advisory board. We began with our doctors, Dr. Modi and Dr. Nicole Hooper, and they've been there with us since our original advisor, Dr. Stan Wu, left to take a position in California. And this year we added what we used to call our outside volunteers. We added them to our advisory board. We've got 3 outside volunteers that I want to recognize. One is my wife, Mindy Graham. Another is Chelsea Wynn, who's been with us for almost our entire time and has been invaluable in coordinating our volunteers every year in person in particular. And we also have Raul Gallegos, who is our background tech expert and Mr. Genius here. But I also want to recognize the groups that we have the option to have alternate representatives, and this past year or two, we've really been blessed because they've been very active. Greg Roberts, he's the alternate from BPN. Nelly Martinez has joined us from HCB. And we also have Terrence Gosey, who is the alternate from VIA. So thank you. I mean, we can't do it without you. So I'm blessed to be the president. I'm just surrounded with great people. They make me look good. So thank you all. And that's a snapshot of who HAVIN is. And then next part of our program, before we go, I'm going to call on Mr. Door Prize, the Prize Patrol. Where you at, Greg?
I am here, and great job, guys, for the introductions and everything. Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
And what are you giving away this time?
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 111.
It's 111, and we're still giving away 2 $25 gift cards.
All right.
And that would be, the first one will be KP Williams. Mr. Williams, are you on?
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
KP.
Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 115.
115. Oh, she's making it easy for me today. Earl Finley.
Findley. Earl
Finley, excuse me.
Are you on, Earl?
If Earl is on, he might be under not under his name. So
he would
if
be
you're
under
on,
his name.
okay, well he's not on.
Okay.
There's no
All right.
Earl.
So
No Earl.
let's go with another.
Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 13.
13.
Back to the top.
All right. Yes, sir. I was getting happy for a second. I was standing the same numbers. Let's see. Well, Jose, take it off for speaker. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. Give me a second. My computer's going a little slow here. Candace Stepan.
Candace Stepan.
Yes.
Yes.
Here.
Congratulations, Candace.
Hey.
Congratulations. All right, Ron, back to you.
All right. Thank you. And now we're going to transition to our featured panel presentation of Where Do I Fit In? And our moderator for this is Sarah Freeman Smith. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Well, it's me again. I'm back, but this time I have the pleasure of introducing and moderating our panelists for our theme today, Where Do I Fit In? As many of you know, all of us that are visually impaired or blind, we have learned during the course of our life that there is a broad spectrum, as Carley mentioned in her earlier keynote address, of a variety of levels of vision acuity. And many of us have not only struggled with where do we fit in within that overall spectrum and how we assimilate, and not just among our family, friends, but within society. So this is just a little snapshot of what we hope to bring you in 2 weeks, a full 2-hour session of how we all have experienced our level of blindness and how we've made those adaptations and what supports systems that have proved successful for us. So we hope that this is just a little snapshot, little tidbit that you will take away, but definitely come back in 2 weeks on April 24th, which is a Saturday, for the full-blown session. So what we hope to focus on today is 4 aspects of levels of blindness. Some of us have been blind since birth or congenital blindness. Others have acquired blindness at some point in our life, had sight and then acquired blindness, as well as we have congenital low vision. Some of us born with that, and then obviously some of us, and I fall in that category, that have acquired levels of low vision. So we hope that our panel will be able to address with some of their personal experiences and shed a little bit more insight. So we're going to start off our panel with Nelly Martinez, who is a representative of the Houston Council of the Blind, and she is going to speak from the perspective of congenital low vision. Nelly?
Yes, hi everybody, good morning. I'm Nelly Martinez. I've been with the Houston Council of the Blind since 2015, and I've been with HAVIN since September of last year. And yeah, so I was born visually impaired, or at least that's probably the most likely thing that we assume, because around the first grade, my teacher started to notice that I was having difficulty like reading the stuff on the board, and she couldn't figure out, or actually my parents couldn't figure out what was the issue, because they had taken me to like the optometrists and all that, but nobody could really figure out what was going on. And I remember because they would take me to the optometrist, and they would ask you to read the eye chart, and I thought it was a joke, because it's like, how can I read? I can't read that, it's so far. And around the summer, so a few weeks before I started the second grade, my dad decided to take me to like a specialist who had his own little practice. And the guy goes, well, I have good news and I have bad news. And my dad goes, well, what is it? What did you find? And he's like, well, I see that the optic nerve might be the issue. But the problem is I can't fix it. It's not something that can be fixed with something like glasses or something like that. And he recommended that they take me to Bentop Hospital. And so we went there that same day, and I was in the hospital for like a week, because I think I apologize for like lack of clarity, because I was a child, so I was like, I have vivid memories of what was going on. But they took me to the hospital, and the doctors saw that it was the optic nerve that was the issue, but I think they had like a theory that maybe it was like a tumor pressing against the optic nerve or something. So that was the worst case scenario for them and for my parents. And they had to take an MRI to make sure that nothing was causing this, or something other than that might be the issue. And yeah, I was there for like a week, and good news is that they didn't find anything. They didn't find any tumor, nothing. So it was just the optic nerve for some reason. But they told me that basically a healthy optic nerve is like a reddish color. I don't know if Dr. Modi can attest to this. I mean, she can probably correct me on this, but mine was like a pale color. It's not even pink, apparently. It's pale, and just that's why my vision was so low. And I think they told me I had autosomal dominant optic atrophy. And yeah, that was the second grade. And it was just so confusing for me, because I thought that, oh, I just needed glasses and everything would be okay. And then I was in public school, and I had to kind of explain to my friends what was going on, and my parents had to explain to the teacher what was going on, because I have enough vision where I can walk without like a cane or a guide dog, but my issue is with distance. So I try to tell people that I'm basically very nearsighted. So like from the distance, I have my camera on. So from the distance where I'm sitting to the camera, I can't even really see myself that well. if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I was put into school, and it was more of back to like trial and error to see what was going on. In the beginning, the only kind of assistive technology that I had was like my little dome magnifier. I remember that I was also given like a little lamp to put on my desks because I would be so close to the paper that like my shadow would just cover the entire thing, that they would give me a lamp. And then that was the 2nd and 3rd grade. And then I remember in the 4th grade, they gave me, I was put into DARS care, or TWC now, for those of you who live in Texas. For some reason at 4th grade, they decided to give me something that looks kind of like these. These are my bioptic telescopes, but the first one that they gave me was like a single handheld one, which was a huge lifesaver for me because I could finally sort of read the stuff on the board that my teachers were writing. Because prior to that, I believe they put my desk in front of the chalkboard or the whiteboard. And I think I could read like maybe something that was like 3 feet away from me. But if they wrote something all on the other side of the board, I cannot see that. And I was a little, because of that, it would make me a little bit slower compared to my other, to my peers. And so, yeah, the little telescope made a huge difference for me. And I have been using that ever since. I needed it for high school, I needed it for college, everything, and in like school and stuff. And I'm trying to remember what else they gave me. They also gave me like the little handheld magnifier, the one that comes with the little light. That one also made a huge difference. For some reason, my teachers wouldn't give me stuff in large print. I don't know why. And they would just try to give me extra time on stuff. But even I tried to kind of not take advantage of it because one, I was already I was the only blind person in my class or in the school. And so the other students saw that I got like a special different treatment from the teachers. And because I wanted to fit in, I guess, I just tried to like be self-dependent as I could. And so it took me a long time to finally, really accept that it's like, no, I actually do need this kind of, I need the extra time. I need the technology, I just got to live with it. And yeah, that was from, sorry if my voice is breaking. That was from like the 4th grade to all the way up to college. And I also, the year before I went to college, they gave me also a CCTV, DARS did. And it also made a huge difference in my life, especially when it comes to reading the textbooks, right? Made a huge improvement in everything. I'm also trying to think what else.
Actually,
yes, go ahead.
Overall, then I think you definitely should share that not only did you complete regular school, but you've graduated recently and obviously have illustrated the importance of some support systems that have taken place. Just give us one or two because we're going to have to we're a little short of time today, but if you could talk about you graduated and what proved to be one of the best support systems for you, and then we'll go.
Okay, so I graduated in December of 2019, right before COVID. So I came across the Houston Council of the Blind in 2015 because I had won a scholarship for them. And it also showed me like other blind people because that was the only one in school, in high school, all that. And so it was really helpful to meet other blind or visually impaired people, especially when it comes to sharing experiences. And then with HAVIN, it's the same thing. It's been very helpful to just have the resources and to know where you can find help and that kind of stuff. So that's my
Great.
story.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nelly. Our next presenter, and I want to put a little footnote for our next three presenters. Due to the shortness of our schedule, I know what time frames we were given, but we're going to have to probably chop off about 3 minutes from what we were going to say. But remember, we don't have to tell everything because they're going to come back on Saturday, April 24th. So our next presenter will be Stacy Gallegos, representative from the Houston NFB chapter, and she is going to talk about congenital blindness. Stacy?
Thank you, Sarah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Technology is working. So my name is Stacy Gallegos, and as Sarah mentioned, I am going to talk about the congenital side of things. My eye condition is Leber's congenital amaurosis, and ironically, you gotta love grandparents, because when I was 6 months old, my grandmother made mention to my mom that there's something wrong with that baby's eyes. You better take her to an eye doctor. So that's kind of where my journey with blindness began. When I was younger, probably up until, I'm going to say through elementary school, I did have some residual vision, although it wasn't the greatest. I will say that I have a brother and sister, both of whom are sighted. So I'm the only blind person in my family. My vision is such that I can tell when it's light outside. So during the day, I'm able to see that it's bright outside. But I often describe my vision to people as inconsistent light perception. And I say that because if I'm in a building, and unless I know that the lights are on or I have actually turned the lights on, I'm not able to see that. So I function as a totally blind person. So I use all of the things that I do using non-visual skills. When I was 6 years old, I attended a summer camp at the Texas School for the Blind. And it was a 6-week residential program where I was able to go and, have a kind of a summer camp experience with other blind individuals. At the time that I was growing up, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act idea, as we know it today, was not in existence. So when I was in 2nd grade, my mom made a really tough decision to send me to attend school at what is now Texas School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. When I started school there, it was just TSB, Texas School for the Blind. So I attended the School for the Blind for 10 years. So from the beginning of 2nd grade and subsequently to graduating. And I'm gonna kind of skim over a lot because we will have an opportunity in a couple of weeks for me to speak more. I would say I really liked Carley's thoughts today in her presentation, because she mentioned that we all have a place in the world. And I think that's a message that my teachers instilled in me at a very young age. I've always growing up, blindness was never something that defined what I was going to do. I'm a very headstrong person. For those of you that know me, I love a good challenge, and I do whatever I can to just live a full, independent life. Blindness is not, when I say if I want to do something, the first thing that pops into my mind is, well, I wonder if I'll be able to do that being totally blind. So I tend to take those approaches and say, how would a totally blind person do this? How can something be modified or adapted? And so after graduating from the School for the Blind, I moved away to college. I attended Stephen F. Austin. And as I mentioned, I like a good challenge. So when I started college, I was a double major in biology and physical education. My goal was to be, I wanted to teach biology, and I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to teach physical education and coach. And I'll talk more about that later on in our next session. But the biggest fear for me when I went to college was I wondered, would I be able to make friends in the sighted world? Even though growing up and attending the School for the Blind, I did have some experience with attending high school at a public school when I started high school. And, I did make friends, but the majority of my environment growing up for 10 years of my life was around blind people, blind and low vision people, and people with other disabilities. And so that was my biggest fear. What is the sighted world going to think about me? And, am I going to be able to make friends? And I did make friends. I taught a lot of people about things related to blindness. And it was just, just a great thing. So when I graduated college, I again moved. I moved to Kansas, where I taught for 6 years. I would say that was my dream job. I was working with blind individuals, preschool through 12th grade, teaching physical education and daily living skills. And I wore many hats in that arena, which I'll talk about in a couple of weeks. But despite all of the challenges that blindness provided me, I was able to land the job that I wanted. I then moved back to Texas and started working for Department of Assistive and Rehabilitative Services in the Blind Children's Program, where I served families of blind children throughout the Houston and surrounding areas. And now I have the honor and privilege of working alongside my best friend and my partner, my husband. We have RGA Tech Solutions, which Raul Gallegos he is on our HAVIN advisory board as the technology guru. So the exhibit hall that you guys are going to be privy to later on, and all of the behind the scenes technical things, RGA Tech Solutions has handled that for this expo. I will leave you guys with this. A couple of weeks, I look forward to sharing more with you, but I really believe that we all do have a place in this world. And I feel strongly that the most successful people, those with and without disabilities, we have to find where our spot is in the world. We have to learn to be a part of the majority despite being a minority. So thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to sharing more with you guys in a couple of weeks.
Great. Thank you so much, Stacy. Our next presenter is going to focus on acquired low vision, and that is going to be Minnie Crystal, our representative from VIA, Visually Impaired Advocates. Minnie? Minnie?
She's on, but she's muted. Hold on. Let me ask her to unmute.
All right, I'm here.
There you go.
Okay, great.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Minnie Crystal, and I am the transitioning president of the Visually Impaired Advocates, or VIA, as some of you may be familiar with. My visual impairment is a result of retinitis pigmentosa, or RP. I looked this up, and the condition is basically defined as a group of rare genetic disorders that involved the breakdown and loss of cells in the retina. As the description reflects, I was born with this problem, although it was not diagnosed until 15 years ago. I don't know why. I started seeing an ophthalmologist when I was roughly 3 or 4 years old, when I started wearing corrective eyewear. And I basically thought the manner in which I observed the world was the way the rest of the world observed the same objects. As you've heard, ignorance is bliss. So that was my situation. Now, the earliest challenge that lasted throughout my interaction with the general public was the reaction and ridicule that I experienced or received from others due to my condition. In addition to RP, I was extremely nearsighted. So my corrective eyewear was often referred to as Coke bottle glasses. You know, people are cruel. But they often refer to those, my eyeglasses, as Coke bottle glasses. In addition to this, I was horrible at any sport that required any type of hand-eye coordination. Okay, so since I didn't see any future as a jock or anything like that, I thrust my efforts into reading. My mother often mentioned how I loved reading the encyclopedia. I controlled my environment completely, reading. So it wasn't so bad because it probably contributed to the fact that I received some scholarships to go to college. So reading wasn't such a bad thing for me. The best support that I experienced was interacting with other blind individuals. When I was blind, there was no one in my family that was blind. There were no blind individuals in the schools that I attended, the church that I attended, or if they were blind, they may have been using sighted guide techniques. So I was unaware that there were other blind people out here, although I know that's not so unique, but I just felt very isolated. And I met another blind individual, and they made me become acquainted with the DARS agency, the Department of Assisted Rehabilitative Services. And I began to realize that there were other people out there like me in the world, and they were doing very successful things. So I wasn't limited. I only limited myself, and therefore I just went for it completely after that point. I engulfed myself with all of the resources that were available. And then by happenstance, I went to a seminar that Doris held where I interacted with a number of other blind people. And we just decided that we needed to form a group where we could meet on a regular basis, where we could share resources and information or just personal experiences to interact with one another. And that's how VIA was formed roughly a little over 10 years ago. And I would say most of my successful completion, one thing that really enhanced my sense of personal confidence was completing the residential rehabilitation program at Chris Cole in Austin. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, I went there and it was very difficult, but they taught me additional skills and training that I needed to make myself that much more confident that I would be able to get through this. And for those of you that never went to Chris Cole, the final orientational mobility training that you had to finish was what they call the Capitol Walk. And that's where you walk from Chris Cole to the Capitol, which was roughly about 40 blocks, okay? So you're out there with your white cane, and if you had any light perception like I have light perception, but you have to wear this blindfold. Oh my. But you walk those 40 blocks and people trying to be helpful, helping you cross the street, but no, I'm going to do it by myself. I got through that, and that was such a sense of accomplishment that I figured I can do anything after this. So I was very, very happy after the successful completion of that rigorous program. And that's what it decided me or told me that anything that I wanted to do, I'm able to do. Just keep myself focused and work towards that. So that's what I continue to try to do with the group that I formed, the Visually Impaired Advocates. So nobody else feels isolated and alone. That what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I lived a very full life prior to losing my sight. I was a chemist, and I didn't know what I was going to do after that. Was I just going to be alone? A number of you probably know some of the horrible stereotypes that they had. It was like, oh my God, all I have is going to, buy some pencils and sell them on the corner or something like that. That's how ignorant I was of the whole thing. But I feel so much better now. And I indeed have reinforced to myself that there is life after blindness. I'm going to be okay. So thank you. And I'm so happy to be a member of VIA.
Thank you so much, Minnie.
And HAVIN.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Last but certainly not least, our final presenter is going to talk about acquired blindness, and that is our illustrious leader, Ron Graham, VIPSIT and HAVIN. Ron?
Thank you, Sarah. Those of you who know my story know before I became blind, I was fully sighted, 20/20 vision. I never knew anyone who was blind. But as they say, life happened. When I was 31, I was a captain with the state prison system here in Texas. I'd been working there for 13 years. I had my dreams, my goals. I was going to be a warden by the time I retired. And then came the one night, October 9th of 1993. I flipped a car at 110 miles an hour. No seatbelt. I hit my head. I had a head injury. I woke up 2 months later. My optic nerves were severed. I had no idea, because what I see today is a dark maroon curtain, and it's a visual image, a mental image, because if I close my eyes, and I am closing my eyes, it's still there. It's still dark maroon. I've seen dark maroon, and I know what that looks like. So that's stuck in my mind. It's just a dark maroon curtain. And I was at a loss. Everything I knew, everything I dreamed of, all my goals were gone. I spent another 6 weeks in the hospital recovering after the accident, another 5 weeks in physical rehab, and I moved into my parents' home. And I finally started trying to rationalize what my life had become. I was 31 years old, living back at mom and dad's house. And it was humbling, because I had lived there. It was always my family home, but here I was. It's not the same. Everything I had was taken away from me. I felt very emasculated. I felt lost. And to say it was a shock and awe stage is probably understating how I felt. And then while I'd been in physical rehab, I'd met an occupational therapist who had been an O&M trainer at Chris Cole. And she's like, Ron, you need a white cane. You need to learn to use white cane. Well, I didn't then. And I remember what she said. And I talked to at the time, it was a Texas Commission for the Blind. And that's transitioned to DARS. And today it's the Texas Workforce Commission. But the regional director came to me and he says, okay, you want services? What do you want? I don't know. What do you have? And I says, but don't talk to me about that Chris Cole place. I don't need to go there. There's nothing there but a bunch of blind people. They know they're blind and I don't need to be around them. I need to learn to live my life right here in this house. Okay. He recognized what was going on. Total denial. I didn't want to deal with it. And it was only after I got a second opinion from because my first ophthalmologist was telling me about this Russian researcher who could fix this, and in 5 years I'd see again. And I wanted to believe that, and no. The second ophthalmologist told me what I needed to hear: learn to live your life like a blind man. I cried, my dad cried, but on the way home I asked him about his schedule. I said, can you see about taking me to the Chris Cole Center so I can get a tour? And we did. And I knew that's where I wanted to go. And in the summer, in July of 1994, I was there, excuse me, for 2 months. And in 2 months, I learned the basics. They gave me the foundation of the skills that I would need to take my life back. And by October, I had moved out from my parents' house. I moved into a house with a friend. We were renting a house together. That was a good halfway point for me to try to start moving forward. I'd learned to use the white cane. I hated that thing. I did not want to carry it around. I didn't want to stand out in a crowd. I would go sighted guide. I didn't need that cane. It took a little while, but I did get me a seeing eye dog. I went to college, got my associates, my bachelor's, my master's in clinical psychology. And what I learned is find the tools, the resources you need, and plan. One of the key things I found at Chris Cole, aside from what they taught me, was I needed those blind people. I needed to associate with them. They needed me just as well. Because when I went back home to my mom and dad's, they were there. My brother was there on his days off. And as much as they loved me, there were some of the simplest things they couldn't relate to. They could feel bad for me. They could feel sorry for me, but I didn't want that. I wanted someone who understood my daily frustrations of where did I put that cup? And dang it, I wish they'd quit moving the remote. Where did they put that? So I needed these people, not as people to be the amen pew to say, oh yeah, I know how that feels, but just to be able to relate to me, that I could relate to as well. And this led to me figuring out that when I moved to Kingwood in 2006 with my wife, Mindy, we moved here with our son, Austin. I found a few friends in the area just through random connections and realized, look, I was the only other blind person they knew. And I said, I'm going to start a group and you're going to meet my other friends. And if the group doesn't take off, at least you'll know someone besides me. Well, we've been meeting every month since then. This is VIPSET. And from VIPSET, we grew into being a founding group of HAVIN. And we, life has never been the same. I'm blessed to be surrounded with great people. But what I found along the way was a lot of it is attitude and patience. But also, life was not going to come knocking at my door. It was up to me to go out and pursue life. If I shut myself in, no one's going to come bringing life to me. I had to go out and pursue it. So if I had a few words to pass on, it would include believe in yourself, believe in your family and friends, and believe in pursuing life. And I believe it was Mark Twain that said it's a terrible death to be talked to death. I hope that hasn't happened.
No, absolutely not. I think thank all of the presenters today. Each and every one of you shared such unique aspects of how you experienced it, but I think each and every one of us can relate and find some commonality in those things, and most importantly, hope find some level of inspiration and encouragement that will help you to continue to pursue your journey. In lieu of time, we were going to try to open it up for a few questions, but in order to keep everything on track, I hope, and I know some of you have some questions, but this is something that I definitely want you to kind of keep under wraps, hold it, write it down, but please come back April 24th, Saturday. We will send out notices probably by early part of next week with specific dates and times for you to register so that you can ask those questions, but also that our presenters can take a little bit deeper dive into their experiences. So please do come again. And so at this juncture, again, many, many thanks to all of you to opening up the private aspects of your lives. We really thank you for that. And now I think we've got just a few, about a minute to spare. I am going to turn it over to my next presenter or moderator.
Before we go there, I want to bring in Mr. Popularity one more time.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Okay. Great.
So let's bring on the prize patrol. Where you at, Greg?
I am here somewhere over the rainbow. Good job to those presenters and those who are also manning the chats and answering questions. So awesome job. All right, so the next prize we're going to give away is going to be $50 cash. Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 57.
57. Randa Schnorr.
Can you give me the first couple of letters?
Which one? The first name or last name?
Either one.
Randa, R-A-N.
Not unless they're under one of the iPhones. Randa, if you're here, can you raise your hand or respond in the chat? Doesn't look like it so far.
No, nobody in the chat so far.
Give a second, give another try.
All right. Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 121.
But of course, it makes me go all the way to the bottom again. Let's see. Coming here. 121. Justin Coffin.
With a
Mr.
J?
Coffin. What was that, Terrence?
With a J?
Yep. Justin Coffin.
No, not here. Unless, like I said, once again, if you're one of the people that's not under your name, can you please raise your hand or respond in the chat? Give him just a couple seconds if he's available, and it doesn't look like he is. So
No, there's nobody in the chat either.
go.
Nope.
One more shot.
Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 67.
67.
And as we go through this, just to get Mr. Driggers queued up, just letting you know you're up next, Mr. Driggers, if we can ever find somebody to get his stuff to.
All right, 67. Yolanda Shaw. Yolanda Shaw.
No, once again, chat hands. We'll give it one more. We'll give it one more shot, and then we can try again at the next break.
Yeah, if we don't get one this time, then what I'll do is I'll do a couple more after
Sad
Mr.
face
Driggers.
emoji.
Oh wait, no.
No, that's just Jose
We
saying
never
he's here.
called you, Jose.
Don't mind Jose. Alexa, pick a random number from 2 to 126.
Here's a number between 2 and 126. It's 6.
All righty. Number 6. Número 6. It would be kind of funny if Jose did win, though. Let's see. Come on, computer. Judith Lawrence. Yes, she does. Judith Lawrence.
Looks like we might have struck out this go around on gifts.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and let Mr. Driggers.
All right. And we're gonna let Naomi is going to introduce him.
Mm-hmm. And Greg, you'll keep trying behind the scenes, correct? You can just put the winner in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Naomi.
I think we lost Naomi a little bit ago.
Okay. Well,
so she came back, but she's not a co-host. That's why. Let me find her.
Okay.
I remember seeing her. Oh, there. I see her.
I got her. Yeah, I got her. I'm using this search.
But she is introducing our
go
next
for
speaker.
it, Naomi.
Oh my gosh, finally. I'm like screaming, like, somebody unmute me, somebody unmute me.
There you go.
Okay, so to just try to speed things up. So to introduce Mr. Driggers, Mr. William Driggers is retired from the state of Alabama, where he was a vocational rehabilitation counselor and a rehabilitation teacher. He is currently employed with the Texas Workforce Commission as the OIB, which stands for Older Independent Blind. He is a coordinator there for Houston and adjacent counties. I present Mr. Driggers.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you, Chairman Graham. This is something that has always been at my heart. I remember as a rehab teacher, starting out with 2 blind individuals and ending up having, when I left the position, having about an attendance of 25 people in a support group in a rural area of Alabama. So I'm a firm believer in support groups. I think that it's the catalyst. It's where you're able to equip one another as blind individuals or just individuals. And I'll get to that later on. But what I'd like to do is to just kind of give a synopsis of the OIB program, and then talk about the 6 services that we offer, and then wrap it up with talking to you guys about equipping, okay? First, the eligibility requirements of the OIB program is that, first of all, you have to be 55 and older. You have to have a documented substantial loss, a medical documentation of substantial loss of vision. You also have to understand the compensatory training that you're about to enter and that you have to agree to participate. And second of all, you just have to believe that you will benefit from the independent living program. So those are the requirements to participate in the older independent blind program in the state of Texas. The 6 areas that we cover, and I like to capsule even the 6 areas in these 2 areas, because I'm a firm believer, as a person that has been blind since I was 2 years old, and I'm totally blind. I've learned early that, and research shows this too, if you're able to master these 2 things, you can be just as competitive as your sighted counterparts. And the 2 things are storing and retrieving of information and being able to get to point A and point B independently. Research shows that if you can do those 2 things, you can be just as competitive as your sighted counterparts. And research also shows us that people who develop those skills are more employable than those who don't have those skills. So I say that, but the 6 areas that we cover in the OIB program are, of course, communication. And of course, communication consists of reading and writing, storing and retrieving information, okay? And then we look at independent living. What is independent living? How you do your ADLs, things that you do every day, such as your personal management, shaving, applying makeup. I'll tell you a story. When I was a rehab teacher, I was asked by one of my students to help her to apply makeup. I'm like, oh Lord, I've never applied makeup in my life, but I was able to co-teach that particular class with one of my colleagues at the office. So it was a challenging proposition for me to teach somebody how to apply makeup. So anyway, but now, and then we look at home management. And home management services, that consist of anything you deal with maintaining your home, such as paying bills, meal prep, etc. Okay, and then we also look at the big thing again, as I said again, mobility. Mobility is so important, and we try to cover all facets of mobility, whether it be cane travel, whether it be dog guide use, even to the point now where I have started introducing into the program low and high tech devices for for mobility, such as some of the apps on the iPhone for helping with mobility. Also, even the talking compasses, etc. So that with mobility, and again, and then we include learning to make use of Uber, learning to make use of the share rides, also learning to access paratransit, and we focus on your ability to get from point A to point B, and again, and I have often believed, as a educator and as a service provider, I've seen over the years, once I put a cane in my student's hand and they're able to get from point A to point B just in their home, it's a confidence builder. The use of a cane is a foundation for all the other things that you will need to learn when you are participating in blind adjustment training. The cane is the foundation, and and what I mean by that is you are able to you're able to, it's a confidence builder. You learn spatial concepts. And when you have those spatial concepts, then you can start learning organizational skills, et cetera, et cetera. As all of you guys know, when you're blind, you cannot, you cannot just go on the spur of the moment. You have to plan things out, and you cannot just be spontaneous as a blind person. You're constantly having to plan on how you're going to do A, B, and C. At least for me, I know that's how it works for me. And that's what I've done over the years, is just constantly be one to plan. And my wife can tell you she can tell you I'm a routine person. I have it down. She can tell you every morning when I get up, the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm a very rigid, planned person. So that works for me. And it almost gets to the point where I'm doing it just from muscle memory, if you will, especially if I'm those many nights I may not sleep well. I just get up and do it from muscle memory. Okay. So now, and then the blind adjustment piece that comes from, when we're talking about and addressing issues, emotional issues, emotional areas such as grieving. A lot of people have a hard time with their vision loss because they're still grieving. So we work on grieving and also coping skills for newly blind individuals. And I will tell you, I have, and I will say, with being involved with your group through Miss Minnie Crystal, getting introduced to your group and told about your group, you guys are an excellent resource for me. None of us who work in the field of blindness education or adjustment, we can't do this by ourselves. That's why I say a support group is so important, and it's valuable. And then, of course, the last thing we do is we look at managing, if you have any, managing the secondary disabilities, if you have them, such as diabetic management or diabetic education. If you've got any type of physical ambulatory issues, we work on helping you manage those things as well. So those are the areas that we cover in the OIB program. So then we just also look at quality of life issues like personal personal interests, hobbies. When you're blind, that doesn't mean you can't do some of the things that you used to could do before you lost your vision. You just have to learn how to do it with limited vision or no vision. I always tell my folks, it's a misnomer that I teach blind people how to cook. Most of the folks that I work with, they already know how to cook. They just got to have permission to do it blind, okay? And they already know how to clean. They just got to learn the strategies and the compensatory schemes for doing it as a blind person. They already know how to get from point A to point B. They've been doing it all their life. They just got to learn to do it as a blind person, okay? So, and back to what I originally talked about is equipping. And I've had some lengthy enrichment conversations with Miss Crystal on this topic, equipping each other. That's what when we congregate and what we're doing now, we are equipping each other. That's why we congregate. As with all these various organizations that y'all shared with today, that's what we are doing. We are equipping each other. Okay. So I'm reminded of, like, let's just look at the letter E. you know, that old African proverb, each one teach one, okay? That's what it's about. Each one teaching one, okay? And and quizzing each other. Quizzing each other is cute, where we're quizzing each other. And when we quiz each other, we learn from one another, because your way of doing something can always be improved by learning from other methods of visually impaired folks or blind folks. You know, there is no right way of doing this, okay? We all are unique. We all do things that the way that it's comfortable for us. And when people come into my office, I have never been a practitioner to just say, this is the way you got to do it, and that's it. What I tell folks, I am just merely the facilitator. You guys, my consumers that are newly blinded, they are the boss of their program. Let me repeat that. You are the boss of your program. And you know what? I even have to tell you, you can fire me if you want to. You are the boss. I am just merely the facilitator. And I'm not one of these practitioners that's going to walk in front of you and pull you. I'm not going to walk behind you and push you. I'm going to walk beside you and encourage you. Stacy, you talked about being a coaching. You talked about having a desire to coach. You have an opportunity to coach every day. I'm sure you've done that too. And we all have things that we can do to elevate each other. Again, the support groups have more effect than sometimes the rehab facilities or the rehab programs, I have found over the years. So equip, okay? Just performing daily tasks. You know, you're equipping one another, okay? You're helping each other to equip. And so that's what I would just encourage you to continue to do. And we need you guys. If you run across anybody that you know that's newly visually impaired, send them to the OIB program. Again, they have to be 55 and older, and they have to have a medical documented substantial vision loss. And then another thing, they cannot want to work. If they want to work, then we have to, if they say, I want to continue to work, then we refer them over to the VR side of the aisle, if you will. But preparing each other for positive success with your newfound blindness is where you want to be, okay? It's what you want to do, all right? I hope this has been very informative to you. And if you need to ask me any questions or have any, Mr. Chairman Graham has my contact information. You're always welcome to call me. Even if you have friends or somebody you want to refer. I do cover parts of Houston and approximately 14 adjacent counties to Houston. There's a lot of windshield time there. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Driggers. We appreciate that. And you answered the question I had for you. We will send out a follow-up email to everybody here. And is it okay to include your email address and your work phone number?
And contact number, yes.
Yes, sir. I will include that in the follow-up email. And for what it's worth, this presentation today is recorded. We will get this posted on YouTube after a little bit of editing is done from the earlier spot. We are glad everybody's here because I know for a fact there's a few people here from other states as well, and hopefully what you shared here, Mr. Driggers, is something that they may be able to find, if not put a spark in their state agency's ear to say, why don't we have this? Because I think what the OIB is offering is a very powerful program specifically designed for a good number of people. In running, facilitating a support group, one of the more common comments I've had has been from those who are older with onset age-related vision loss. And the problem they have is the eye doctors, the vision professionals they see say, well, you're going blind and there's nothing else I can do for you, without knowing their resources. And I know you and I have had conversations. Hopefully we can work to help alleviate that aspect too. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Is there anybody that has any questions for Mr. Driggers before I totally cut him loose here?
And Ron, just because Mr. Driggers was so succinct in his presentation, we actually have time for overall questions. He finished a little early, so we can circle back for some of those if need be.
Yes, we can. And anything for Mr. Driggers first?
Well, I just want to say that you know, I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I came out of retirement to do this job. It's a calling. It's not just a job for me. I'm gonna tell you, it's not the money. I can assure you of that, but I thoroughly enjoy helping folks. I started at the tender age of 21, right out of undergrad, working in the welfare department in South Carolina. So I've always been in the helping profession. I love what I do. And it's just something I always have. I just believe that I'm a public servant, not a perfect servant, but a public servant that has gone against all the odds and been blessed to be able to provide assistance to folks along the way.
Well, your passion to serve, it shows. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Ron, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Somebody named Diana has a question. She didn't put the question in the chat. She just said that she has a question.
Given what happened earlier, let her put the question in the chat, because that's the exact same.
If you've got a question and you want to put it in the chat like that, that's exactly the same wording too.
She says Diana from TBP.
Oh, from Talking Book Program? Okay.
Okay.
That should be okay.
Okay, let me find her then. So she can ask her question.
And while she's doing that, oh, there she goes.
Hi, Ron. As you know, I'm not a spammer.
Oh, it's Dina. It's
yes,
Dina. Yeah.
Sorry. Hi, Ron.
Hey there.
Hi. I understand the concern about letting me speak, but thank you very much. So I did have a question for Mr. Driggers, and he and I had spoken recently on the phone, and I just wanted to get some clarification. One concern, one problem that I see with the older blind community is a lot of times the OIB program will provide equipment to the individual, and so they have this equipment, but then they don't know how to use it. They don't have any training. And I know during the pandemic, this is an even bigger issue because the OIB specialists are not going into the homes. But my question is, when the pandemic is over and they're going back into the homes, will the OIB specialists be able to provide training for video magnifiers or reading machines or digital talking book players, not the ones that we provide at the talking book program, but like something from Humanware or something like that. Do the OIB specialists provide training, or do they refer people to outside trainers like Mr. Gallegos? That's my question.
Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Driggers, yes.
Oh, okay. To answer your question, you're absolutely right. The pandemic has put restraints on us from being able to provide in-person training. However, we do have several methods that we can provide training. For an example, with some of the CCTVs that I give out, I'm able to provide some cursory instruction through the vendor, okay? And that's just an arrangement. I never would just leave equipment at someone's home and just not see fit to provide them with some sort of training. And yet it is what I call cursory training, but it gets the folks going, okay? But as far as the training modules, we do some training virtual over the phone, but as you know, for someone that is newly blinded or visually impaired, sometimes virtually can be a challenge, especially if you got other secondary issues going on, such as neuropathy in your fingers and things like that.
Okay. So yeah, if somebody calls the Talking Book program and speaks to me and says, you know, I've got this new piece of equipment and I don't know how to use it, I want to make sure that if I refer them to an OIB office, that somebody's going to be able to help them, you know, that they're not going to call and the answer is going to be, oh, well, we don't provide training.
No, it should never be that. It should never, I cannot reiterate this enough. You should never get that response.
Okay.
You may get a response, a delayed response, because like, for example, I've got somebody right now that I'm working with that needs to learn how to manage their diabetes with a talking glucometer, right?
Okay.
I don't have the wherewithal to do that, but I just recently we recently hired a diabetic educator for this area. We have access to a diabetic educator for this area. So we will pair that person up with that individual. So yes, the pandemic has put some hiccups in the system, but I can assure you, my bosses in Austin and all, they are very aware of this, and we're trying to work out a lot of the hiccups, okay?
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more questions for Mr. Driggers? And
Remember the raise hand functions are, I believe, Alt-Y, star 9 if you're on the phone, or it's under the More tab if you're under the if you're on one of the apps. And I believe it's Option Y if you're on a Mac. So you can raise a hand if you have a question. Somebody just put something in the chat. It flashed by too quick for me to see. Nelly, if you could read that.
It's about a Facebook group that somebody put in the chat. So it's not a question.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Driggers. And again, my sincere appreciation for you taking your time and sharing about the OIB with us. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
All right, thank you. And same here. And I look forward to working with all of you guys as well.
All right. So we're we got just a little bit of time, but do we have any questions for the panel before? Here's one thing, all our board members are accessible. You can write us at the HAVIN email address, haven.tx@gmail.com. If there's anyone that you're trying to get in touch with from here, we'll make sure to connect you with them. Again, we will be back in 2 weeks. We're going to do an expanded edition of what we touched on here, Where Do I Fit In? Because it's something we were discussing in the early planning stages of this Insight Expo. We started having a panel presentation, and I want to thank Terrence in particular here, because he planted the seed that led to this, because he said, wait a minute, I'm low vision, where do I fit in? And that one question took off, and our thought process just grew in our discussion, and we said, wait a minute, we can do this, because there's things that people who are low vision will be asked or treated that I don't get as someone who's totally blind. I don't get accused of faking being blind. It's pretty obvious when I come in with a white cane or a guide dog. Oh yeah, okay. But it's like Carley said earlier about the lady that she was talking to, when the way she was looking at her, it was a learning opportunity. And sometimes we don't see that. I don't get to see when someone's waving at me from across the room or looking at me. They may have a question, but if they're not on Zoom, I don't see when they raise their hand. So there's a lot of things that we can all touch on, and we can all find some common ground. But I think our experiences are what bring us to common ground together here. Just as I was looking for that common bond that I found at Chris Cole, the common bond that unites us here, brings that sense of community, is we all know what it's like in our one piece of that patchwork quilt called being visually impaired or blind. You know, that is our community, our greater community. But you know your area, you know what it's like to be you, and finding those who share those common feelings, the understanding, and being able to relate to what you're going through. That's what this is about. And we hope you plan to join us in 2 weeks. We will have a follow-up email to come out once we have the time set for that. And hope you register, come see us. Today's been a wonderful day. I know, as I said earlier, I know we have people from other states. I know April's here from Tennessee. Candace is here from Denver. She's a former Texan, used to go to the same school my son goes to now. But we've got people in other states that we've connected to, and Zoom makes this possible. So the beauty of being virtual allows us to connect and find these mutual connections. And again, to our neighbors from the north for joining us today, thank you. We're tickled to be here and glad we're able to do something, bring it together, and deliver the Insight Expo this year. And I'm not going to cut Greg out. Greg, you're the man with the plan, so bring it, sir.
And
Ron,
before we,
before
I was about to say, yeah, I think we're about to say the same thing.
Before we go to the door prizes, could you clarify to everyone? They're asking about how to attend the exhibition hall, the links, and
all right.
Exactly.
The link that you have here is going to be the same link for the exhibit hall. The link you use to get here, click on that link. We will open the exhibit hall at 1 o'clock. So we are going to take time to, once we dismiss here, thank you for bringing me to that. Because once we dismiss here, we're going to need to close it down so we can set up the breakout rooms and get everyone set up and get our exhibitors in and get them set up for their rooms. So join with the same link you used to get here, and we will have the exhibit hall set up running in 1 hour, 1 p.m. Central Time.
And Ron, this is Raul, if I may add a couple things to that.
Yes, sir.
So as Ron mentioned, we're starting at 1 o'clock. What I would recommend is that you not try to join in too early, or else you're just going to be sitting there in the waiting room for a while. So if you want to, go have some lunch or do whatever, pretend it's a real expo in person, right? And probably come back at about like 12:45 or 12:50 or whatever, and then that way you're not just kind of sitting and just twiddling your thumbs, because nobody is getting let in until 1 o'clock when we open it.
Except for the volunteers, because I know some of them are attending right now.
Yeah. Yep. Volunteers and exhibitors and HAVIN folks are the exception. So think of it like if it was a real meeting space, only the workers are kind of there prepping for it.
Okay, thank you. And our volunteers and exhibitors will be taking you at the time we specified with you before. So that it on what we need here?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, sir. And Greg, where you at? I know you're not hiding.
I'm
That's
here.
not you.
I'm here. So just to make sure the winners that we did get, I did put it in the chat for the ones before Mr. Drigger, but just to make sure that everyone knows who they are, Kenneth Simeon won the $50 prize that we were trying to figure out a winner for. Miss Walker, April Walker, won the $25 gift card. Then for this particular round, prior to closing remarks, we have Clarice Henry that won the $25 card. I'm sorry, Ron, what'd you say?
I said, all right, Clarice.
Oh, Clarice, yeah, good job. And then Chris Shire also won $25 gift card. I know Chris was on under looks like volunteer, so is Ted Galanos on? I've seen him earlier, but I don't know if he's,
unless he's using a different name.
Yeah, he's not currently on. He typically
he's
is
not
on
on.
Ted.
Okay, is do we have? Let's see. Okay, I got mishearing. Give me a second. I'm going down. I wrote down names as we were going down, just in case they were on and I missed them. We got you, Miss Walker. I lost my numbers. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Is Dwight Zering on?
I don't know.
There's a lot of iPhones on, so I didn't know exactly who they were.
Yeah, if you're on under a number and you hear your name, just hit *9 or raise your hand. It's another iPhone in the waiting room. It's a little scary to grab those after what happened earlier.
Oh, okay. There's Dwight.
Yeah.
Dwight
yeah,
is
he's
on
with
under
Misty.
Misty.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
All right. So for that one, we got the $25 gift card. And then for our $50 gift card, $50 cash, our last one is Ida Lopez. Is Ida Lopez on?
Yes.
All right, so that's our
Congratulations.
$50 gift prize. So thank you guys for all our winners, for everyone that was participating earlier. We will have more prizes this afternoon.
And
Once
again,
again, yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're
Terrence?
about to say that. You're about to say the same thing as me because we think alike.
Well,
Go for it.
we want to say thank you for being here today. You're the reason that we do what we do. We're all volunteers. We love what we do, but if we weren't here for you, we'd have to go do something else, but you are the reason we do what we do. We understand where you're at and we want to help, and that's what we're all here for. And I can't say it again, I can't say it enough, that I love the people I work with. I'm good. I'm not as good as I am with these people around me, though. Everybody on the HAVIN team, thank you for being here with me. I always say I get the glory because of a title, but I'm nothing without y'all here. So thank you. You make me look good. And I appreciate y'all being here.
Ron,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to reiterate, and I forgot this, sorry. For those who did win gift cards, all of the $25 winners, we do need to make sure that you guys submit to us in the email what gift card you want. That way we are able to get it. We will email you that gift card once we get it taken care of, okay? And just as a reiteration, that was for Dwight, Chris, Miss Clarice Herring, April Walker, Candace Stepan, KP Williams, Cindy Schaefer, Dave Clemente, and Sandia Raw. So that's all our $25 gift card winners. Make sure you guys get with us so we can get you your gift card.
And Ron,
And we have a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one more. Let people know at the end of the exhibit hall to come back, because we have door prizes, but a really good one, right?
We got a real sweet one, real
So
sweet grand
don't
prize
just
at the
leave.
end. So
Yes, so we'll all convene again, right?
And you got to be present to win. So
And Ida has a hand. I don't know if she has a question or not. Ida, you can go ahead.
Ida?
And she unmuted and then she went back to mute. So maybe two of us pushed it at the same time. So one more time. Okay. You should be unmuted now.
I think maybe Ida was letting you know that she was present since she was one of the winners, correct?
Maybe.
Yeah. You know how we asked them to raise their hands, but didn't you call
Yeah,
Ida?
Miss Ida was
winner?
here.
I'm here.
Miss
I'm
Ida was our
sorry.
$50 cash prize winner.
Yes, thank you. I was trying to unmute earlier and I couldn't. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I'm present.
All right. We got you, Ida, and we'll be in touch on how best to get that to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for everything. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you all. And we look forward to seeing you in 1 hour. We will have the
on the same link.
Same link.
On the same link. Yes. Please come back in 1 hour. Same link. Thank you.